You're listening to Cattywampus.
Imagine we did this whole thing on an iPad.
But we would sort of need to use that the pass-through charge dongle, yeah? It's
Oh.
one USB-C port, but if you're using it
Yeah.
for exclusive access, there's you could put charge in parallel with this twin dongle that costs
I mean,
like
if we were going to
$50.
do it, there'd be a lot of dongles and
Yeah,
connectors and adapters.
it'd be dongle fucking city.
What do you call that?
That's not that bad.
Yeah, we would hate dongles and cables around.
God, if we added one
Can
dongle
you
to this,
imagine if there
I'm
were
getting real tired of visiting Mick fucking dongles every time I come here.
I mean, realistically, this is not bad.
Can you imagine
I
if there
know.
were two more cables right now?
just two little 1-inch segments.
Your heart would stop.
You're literally giving me palpitations.
I would
right now.
hate for
need
you
calm
guys to
down.
see the amount of cables I have to clean up. An
lot of
event,
everything.
an event I did on Saturday had probably 15 300-foot runs of cable.
Do you ever feel like fear that you'll fall into a vat of cables and you'll be like Swamp Thing, but for cables, like cable thing?
Cable thing.
You're like Alec Holland was a cable management expert
I
at an
mean,
audio video company when an accident befell him.
It's entirely possible, especially when it's like a spaghetti mess. You could trip and fall in and get electrocuted.
The truth is, Brian died that day, and the cables just think they're Brian.
All right.
So anyway,
So
What did we watch this time? I don't remember.
we watched
Armageddon.
Michael Bay's Armageddon. It's the summertime. We wanted a feel-good summer blockbuster.
Summertime.
It's been 21 years since Armageddon.
I can't believe it's been that
People
long.
will tell you that Armageddon is a good Michael Bay movie. And I hadn't seen it since like 1999 and 2000. Whenever the Criterion DVD came out and had an extended cut, I watched that. That was the last time I ever watched this movie.
I would argue that there is no such thing as a good Michael Bay film.
I kind of like The Rock. I will admit, since we watched The Rock in a previous episode for our Road to Mandy, which we're definitely going to get to one day.
I liked Armageddon more than I thought I would. I used to
Go
watch
on.
it. I used to watch it all
Alright.
the time when I was a kid. I had it on VHS, and for whatever reason, I loved it.
Why?
I also realized while watching it that I remembered nothing about it.
He loves oil rigs.
He loves a simple, homegrown, private business, mom and pop oil rig, which is definitely a thing that exists apparently.
He's the best driller.
Is that really a thing? 'Cause
No!
I did not think that
These-
was really a thing.
This takes place in an alternate universe where George Stevens' Giant with Rock Hudson. That was like it's like a oil punk movie where we're in a future where oil drilling is it's not a finite resource. Anyone can do it, and because at one
It's like
point in this
farming.
movie, Ben Affleck quits to run his own private oil drilling.
Yeah, and he's got his own oil rig just out on a field
Immediately.
somewhere.
Because the movie sets so by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, Armageddon's about an asteroid hurtling towards Earth. They have 18 days to figure out how to stop the collision with Earth. They realize the only way to do is to drill into the asteroid, place a nuclear bomb on the fault line in the asteroid to blow it up so that the pieces miss Earth. But the 18-day clock is running. Somehow within 30 hours, Ben Affleck has been fired from Bruce Willis's oil rig in the South China Sea, made it back to America, and started his own oil company with his name and is drilling oil already.
He's already got the machinery set up. It's pumping.
Yeah.
It looks like it even looks a little dirty. It's like this is a well-established oil company.
This
Like,
is-
was this his side
Maybe he
hustle
bought
that
he
was
bought out
doing,
another
or-
company.
This movie is Ayn Rand's wet dream.
Like this
But
was,
instead of trains, it's oil.
Anyone can succeed in capitalism.
I did make a note. This probably would have been a better movie had you started it with them already being on the asteroid. Because that
What?
it took
What?
All right,
Explain.
Pitch it out. Pitch it out.
It took
I'll listen.
so that movie was 2.5 hours long, and it spent what, an hour and a half to the asteroid, which is supposed to be the point of the movie.
I clocked it at 68 minutes when
So-
the
It felt like
when
an
the,
eternity.
when they actually leave Earth when the
So
shuttles
are you
launch.
saying that this movie should just pick up with our intrepid heroes on an asteroid?
Well,
we don't know why.
So I think what you need to cut is the Mir space station sequence.
definitely.
That's the thing that needs to go because then you go.
it doesn't even make sense.
Because I understand because this movie, I mean, borrows heavily from the right stuff. I'm not opposed to the premise of this movie, which is we have 18 days to train oil drillers to go to space and drill in space. So basically, they need to become astronauts in 18 days. So pacing wise, from the asteroid being discovered to getting the oil drills to NASA, that's a fairly good Act 1 setup pace. Like, it's moving. The montage of training them at NASA to the launch is...
Oh, yeah, it's interminable.
It's so long, but I understand doing that to a point. But then there's so many set pieces from there. The launch goes to Mir, and things go on at Mir because they need to refuel to then slingshot around the moon to then get to the asteroid.
All that fuel you spend getting into space, you gain a lot of velocity. Why would you then brake, fill up your gas tanks, and then start again?
Weirdly, I think they're trying to be accurate to how long it would take to get to the moon, and they don't have enough time. So these are experimental shuttles that need more fuel so they can then get to the moon quicker, because it takes a certain amount of time to get to the moon, and they've...
How long does it actually take us to get to the moon?
Well, about... I did the math.
With the experimental rockets?
Well, those experimental rockets
in-
went approximately 1/200th the speed of light.
What is the average velocity of an unladen experimental rocket?
Really though, like how long does it take us to get to the moon?
A week.
And they have 60 hours. But here's the thing is they've already said these are experimental advanced shuttles. Then the experimental advanced shuttle doesn't need to refuel at Mir.
Yeah.
Right.
You've already told
They've
me
already
that
got the
this
capacity to do it.
You've already told me this is a piece of science fiction technology. Don't add this extra hurdle.
But then how would we get a Russian on the team?
Just have him be on the team. It's a joint venture.
But he wasn't on the oil rig.
I don't get it either.
Yeah. There are gaps.
Hey,
they could have made that
Hello,
work.
you found me on moon. I was stranded by cosmonauts.
What are you doing here? Moon's haunted.
The asteroids have sound effects that make it sound like it's haunted. One, it sounds like a transformer, and it looks like a transformer. And then two, I remember when they get to the asteroid and the dock lowers, it makes this wailing sound like it's on the moors, like it's a fucking haunted asteroid.
Yeah, like there's banshees and shit.
No one's been on this asteroid in 50 years.
Ooh.
This asteroid's been abandoned since the 1870s.
They slingshot to the moon, and then I
slingshot
noticed
to the
something
moon.
stupid.
Which thing?
Yeah.
So
Which part?
okay,
You're gonna have to be more
so
specific.
I got mad and paused the movie and did the math and figured out their speed was 1/200th the speed of light.
I paused the movie. I went to a chalkboard.
I went
do
to
chalkboards
my
again.
Nicolas Cage knowing chalkboard.
Yes. I was scribbling on the walls. I was scribbling on the floor with my Sharpie. I did the math. 1/200th the speed of light. Okay, figured it out. I'm like, okay, maybe reasonable. I thought they went faster than light. Okay, just for a moment there. But then they approached the asteroid from the wake.
Yeah.
Dude, that's dumb.
Well, because the theory is that the debris will be caught by the moon's gravity because there's already meteor showers.
Oh yeah,
ahead
that
of
was
the asteroid.
one of the reasons why they did that. Because
Yeah, but no, that's not. The moon doesn't have enough gravity to pull all those
Also,
rocks.
and I do not know enough about astrophysics for this. I definitely would have gotten less than a C-, which is apparently what the president's advisor got in this movie, according to Lucius Malfoy. They did explain that there was like a
Belt or the
belt
asteroid
and
belt?
something else happened, like a sun went nova
Like-
or something, or gravity or something, or a wizard did it, or
yeah, it was a wizard.
it was fucking Thanos or something.
the point is, a
yeah,
giant
Thanos
mass.
pulled it down.
A giant mass was dislodged, and then it starts hurtling directly towards Earth. That said, with it passing so close to the moon, that actually could have affected the trajectory enough just to slingshot it away by itself.
Well, I guess they were
No movie needed.
Well, I guess they were counting on the fact that they knew that it would be near the moon, which would keep it on that track or make it on the track. Like, if not for the moon, maybe it would have missed us. Of course, if not for the moon, we'd have other problems, but we'd have no werewolves. But what they're saying is that on its current course, which would include the moon coming close to it, it's gonna hit Earth. So factoring in the moon, it's gonna hit Earth. Like, if only there were no moon, it would not hit the Earth. And again, we'd have no werewolves.
Well, I was a little skeptical because at this point it didn't understand gravity when they hit a gravity on button and started spinning the station. But they're in the middle of mass. So if there was artificial gravity, they wouldn't have had it in the center of gravity where the station is.
It seems like they're not trying to say that there's... So they did make a mention of rotation. So it sounds like what they're trying to say is that the Mir space station could rotate and therefore have gravity, which is not a thing. But that's the theory they're trying to get, which is the 2001: A Space Odyssey logic.
Yep.
Of course, those satellites are so massive.
Yeah, they
that
were enormous. They were like the
idea is
size
that
of the Golden Gate Bridge.
They
or
have
some
enough.
shit.
They have enough mass that by rotating they become their own. They do obtain their own gravity. Is the theory of 2001: Space
It makes a
Odyssey.
little more sense in that context, but not when you're literally in a space tube.
It makes a little more sense in the Stanley Kubrick film than the Michael Bay film.
Who would have thought?
Surprisingly, Stanley Kubrick fought it out a bit more.
Oh man! And them launching both of those rockets like right next to each other, and they, you can
Oh,
see,
when they
you see
launch!
you can see the scene where the
was
rocket's
so
taking off.
awkward.
It's like, okay, number 2 ready to go, and number 2 launches, and I just look, and like on
Cut
the
to the
screen, both of the shuttles fly directly into the camera, and I'm like, that is no way safe.
I was so hoping when the first rocket launched, they were like, number 2 ready to go, and then you just cut to everyone dead in number 2 in a heat husk.
Yeah.
Because they apparently launched right next to each other, right?
I had completely forgotten there was even 2 shuttles.
Yeah,
because that's nonsensical. Like, why would you do that?
In case one fails.
Or I get that, but yeah, you would launch them at
Were
different
you not
times.
listening to Billy Bob Thornton? Yeah, why launch them at different times? Launch them one after the other. Launch them at different places we can launch.
Yeah,
shuttles.
so
or-
launch one in Cape Canaveral and the other one launches from Houston, and you're done.
Yeah.
Or
There you
have
go.
one ship that separates into two.
Like Voltron,
Yeah, exactly like Voltron.
but
that
like
would
not
make
the
more sense.
good Voltron, like the space plane Voltron or the space
Well,
train.
that's
It's like the later Power Rangers
That's
where it
what
was
they
like
do.
Lightning Space Force Rescue, and you're like, we're a fire truck. I'm like, this is not as cool as a dinosaur.
That's technically what they do in Sunshine, right? They
I
have
don't
a,
recall ever having Voltron and
no. They have a piece
yeah, they
on
formed
their
Volt.
ship.
Yeah, do you not remember they fought the Sun God with Voltron?
No, they
I
have,
would
they,
be okay with a Voltron
they
episode
take
where
off
they just fight
with
the sun.
They take off with like some extra piece that helps propulse, like with propulsion or something.
I mean, you need boosters, man.
Yeah,
Clearly,
boosters.
that second
Thank
ship
you.
was not a great idea. Or I guess
Well, you say that, but if Ben Affleck hadn't showed, well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So the movie starts. So basically, Charlton Heston starts narrating about how the dinosaurs died, which it feels like a real power move on like the Jerry Bruckheimer like Disney part. Where it's like, we fucking got Charlton Heston just to do this, and they're trying to give you the context of like, in case you didn't know what asteroids could do to the planet, they do this.
They kill
heat
the
death
dinosaurs.
everybody. And so then you cut to, I believe it's a space mission that gets attacked by meteorites. It's Cosmic
Yeah.
Crossfire. And basically they figure out that an asteroid's coming. It's going to destroy Earth. Then we cut to an oil rig in the South Trench, a privately owned small mom and pop business oil rig run by one Bruce Willis.
Who has his daughter on the rig? Who
Well, he's
has a
playing. Well,
shotgun
first
in the
he's
rig?
golfing and he's just attacking Greenpeace people, which he then makes a comment about how he donates money to them.
maybe he feels bad about hitting with golf balls, so he gives them money.
I guess it's him supposed to be saying, hey, this is my job, but I also do care about the environment, even though
Yeah.
I'm literally taking a drill into the ocean floor to steal oil. Yeah, so he has a daughter. It's his daughter. Okay, so it's his daughter, and the wife is, the mom's alive and left, or did she die?
Unclear. I don't
he
think they
says-
explained
I
it.
think Liv Tyler says when mom left.
I'm assuming she left.
No.
I think
they,
Bruce-
they haven't.
who-
They haven't talked about it. She like I think she just left the family.
Who wouldn't leave Bruce Willis?
He pulled that shotgun out, and she said, "I gotta go."
Yeah. So an oil
Well,
rig's
yeah.
a very hazardous environment for any kind of spark, let alone a.
Oh my
fucking
god, it was
shotgun.
insane.
And what do you know? The oil rig starts to fall apart. 5 minutes after this little unnecessary shootout.
Well, that was because Ben Affleck started a drill secretly without anyone knowing in the middle of the night, which doesn't seem that possible.
Let me just ignore that loud coming from all that machinery.
Oh, when the first meteor strike hits the astronauts, there is a close-up of a single piece of meteor fragment cutting through the American flag patch
Yep.
with a dramatic, sad, sorrowful music stain. And I was like, and this is also after the title card exploded at me. And this is... This, I was like...
Common
oh.
thing with summer movies.
And I was like, yeah, for real. And I was like, oh, Michael Bay, you've always been this way.
Yep.
You have always been you, haven't you?
At
And
least he
then-
knows what he's about.
And then the other thing that happened before we get to the oil rig is who forgot that Eddie Griffin was in this movie? Because I did. He's got the little
I-
dog.
I think I forgot
Oh, yeah.
everything about this movie.
So Eddie Griffin.
Oh, that's in one of the first scenes.
Yes, and then so first of all, a couple of things happen in this sequence that I thought was interesting. One, Eddie Griffin's really playing it up, and then the dog runs and attacks Godzilla merch because this came out the summer of the Dean Devlin, Roland
Yeah.
Emmerich Godzilla movie.
I was wondering about that.
When the meteors start attacking.
The meteors are
Attack
attacking.
of the meteor.
Well, they're part of a hive mind.
Arm yourselves. They're coming.
I mean, when you cut to this asteroid, it feels like it's supposed to be sentient. New York gets decimated, and I remember thinking, like, if you had asked me, hey, does Armageddon have a lot of CGI in it, having not seen it in 20 years, I would have said, no, probably not.
But it has a
Oh
ton.
no, it's got a
Because
lot.
I don't remember any of the actual attacks on the Earth. I just remember the asteroid, which is just a
I've-
big set.
I had forgotten all of that. So when it was happening, I was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah, the movie likes to
There's-
take breaks in between the action or between the drama just to show you, hey, by the way, here's another meteor shower.
By the
and
way, Shanghai's gone.
Yeah.
all these people are dead. All right, moving
And
back
it's
to the action.
all CGI. Like, it's almost like 90% CGI, all that stuff. So anyway, Ben Affleck is a hotshot, flyboy, genius, oil driller?
Yeah, that sounds like a thing.
Who is A, sleeping with Bruce Willis's daughter, played by Liv Tyler, and B, turned on a drill that Willis had ordered turned off, which causes an accident that does strike oil and lead to success, but endangers everybody. And Bruce Willis, after firing a shotgun, multiple times.
Oh, he shoots him.
I'd say like 10
Well,
times.
as he points out, he goes, it's just a ricochet, which I also said out loud, that's still shooting.
That's still getting shot.
Yeah, it's not even like, at least it's like not even a handgun or just a simple rifle. It's a shotgun. It is buckshot going across this oil rig.
Every time he fires that weapon, every time he discharges that shotgun on that rig, he has the potential to literally explode the rig. And
Yeah.
this just glazed over. That's not how oil works. Oil's like dirty water.
Yeah, but Michael Bay need guns and boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So he fires Ben Affleck for turning on the drill, which fair enough.
That's understandable.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah, because
Did he fire them specifically for the drill, or was it because of his daughter?
I
And
think it's because of the drill. Because he goes, I turned it off because of X, Y, and Z. People could have died today. You're fired. Like, and you know what? Fair enough.
He doesn't mention anything. That's a separate issue. They've already...
This is after he shot them.
Well, I feel
Yeah,
like
he already got his revenge for that.
Well, that feels like that feels like Michael Bay's definition of American. Oh, you sleep with my daughter? I'll try and shoot you. But I would never fire you as a small business owner. But you endanger the lives of people in my office. You're fired. Like, that's the morality
There's
of a Michael
my
Bay.
line.
That's the morality of a Michael Bay protagonist.
It adds up.
So what happens is the military show up because Jason Isaacs tells them we need to drill. Well, first Bruce Willis also tells Liv Tyler as the military is showing up, and I thought this was very insightful of Bruce Willis, and it stuck in my head till the end of the movie. Bruce Willis tells Liv Tyler that Ben Affleck isn't a choice, as he's just a lack of options because he's the only one of her age on the oil rig. And I was like, Bruce Willis is kind of right. Like, this marriage is not going to last, right? Like, Bruce Willis dies to save Ben Affleck on this asteroid. They're getting divorced, right? And her dad will have died for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only going to take a few months.
So the military shows up to recruit Bruce Willis, and the other thing I noted was Steve Buscemi thinks the military is there for him.
For child porn?
For having
Yeah.
sex with a child. He goes, I swear I didn't know her age. And it made me immediately think of Con Air. This is the movie. This is a year
Oh,
after
yeah.
Con Air, and it's the same producer. And I looked it up on IMDb, and you know what? The president in Armageddon is the president in The Rock. Is Jerry Bruckheimer in a shared universe? Is Steve Buscemi a serial killer who's changed his name, who works on an oil rig now? So they get to NASA. Billy Bob Thornton lays it on the line. Asteroid coming. We need the drill. And then they bring out a drill bit. And I thought this was super weird. Bruce Willis is like, this is my drill. I built it. So you just have a key to the patent office. And Billy Bob Thornton goes like, basically. And I'm like, so Bruce Willis owns his own drilling company. He's a third generation roughneck. And he builds, like, he's Tony Stark.
Yeah, he designs this like super advanced drill.
He's a brilliant drill designer who runs a rig.
And
It's
that's
very
why he has
strange.
his own company.
I guess.
He's the best of the best, and that's why they hired
I
him.
mean, that doesn't make sense. Like, if I came up with a better drill design and I was an oil rig or deep sea driller or whatever, I wouldn't sell that to people. I'd use it to make more money by drilling more oil.
Right, yeah.
Right?
yeah,
Like,
just
there's
sell
got to be a
the
cost
patent.
evaluation there, but
Sell that shit to Exxon. You always talk about wanting your daughter, giving a better, get your daughter a better life. Sell that shit to Exxon right now.
Pretty
right.
much.
College for the next 8 generations
and
of
then,
my family.
and he's like,
Sell it
I
to
somehow managed to
Tesla.
screw up my blueprint. And let me guess, it's jamming up and the polarity's all messed up.
He says you did
and
like something backwards, and I'm like, that's a pretty big fuck up for NASA.
Bruce Willis talks about the
That's
NASA
not Michael Bay's
astronauts
vision.
who are standing at attention as if they are dumber than his roughneck team.
Yeah.
Which is
Well,
asinine to the core.
In fairness, I think he was saying he was dumber compared to his team at this specific thing. Because they go
drilling.
out of their way to imply throughout this film that everyone on his team is an idiot.
Okay, so what is more important? The
Well,
ability to safely fly up to this asteroid and park your drill and drill it, or B, to get to the drill, to fly up to
Do
the
you
asteroid
wanna-
and then drill.
Well, there's
Which
moments-
Do
is-
you want to kill all your astronauts, or do you want to just hire some dumb guys to go drill it?
Well, there's some moments where this almost,
They're expendable.
if like 6 more rewrites, and this would have made sense. So they agree to drill. It doesn't make any sense, but they're going to drill. They're going to get trained. Literally shots from the right stuff.
Steve Buscemi going to get some Some strippers.
Yeah, so okay, they all need to have a night off. We have no time to give people a night off.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense with this ticking clock. That's another.
Well, the morale breaking thing, that's valid.
Well,
given that they don't have the psychological profile to even do this frickin' mission.
That was another great
They
Bayhem
failed.
moment where Bruce Willis turns to William Fichtner and says, so by the way, they do introduce other astronauts. And so there's going to be a pilot, a munitions expert, and a co-pilot or something.
Co-pilot, something like that.
Yeah, so there's 3 astronauts on each ship. So Fichtner's kind of the main lead of these astronauts. And Bruce Willis asks William Fichtner if he would like to spend his last night on Earth with his children. And when he does this, for that one shot, he is framed in front of a floor-to-ceiling American flag in soft focus, which I was like, boy, Michael Bay. Then there's the famous Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler animal cracker scene.
She specifically says, like, do other people do this?
I wrote that too.
And I was like, well, no, nobody does this.
No, nobody's ever shoved an animal cracker in a vagina. No, that's never happened.
Liv Tyler, I believe the exact quote is, do you think anyone else on the planet is doing the same thing we are?
Absolutely not. Never.
Ooh, yeah,
I'm into a lot of weird
Well, they
shit,
might
and
be
that's
for
not
Steve
one.
Buscemi's character.
Yeah, who knows? Then my favorite one was when Will Patton goes to his ex and his kid, and the ex goes, "Court says you can't come around." I'm like, oh, this ain't some divorce. What the fuck? Who'd you hit?
Yeah.
Her?
Yeah,
the
that's
kid?
a restraining
Probably
order.
her.
That's a
Yeah.
restraining order.
What the fuck?
This happened years ago because his kid doesn't recognize him.
That was
This is a
weird.
mess.
Bruce
What are
Willis
you
runs
doing?
with a wild crowd.
So Michael Bay, for anyone who doesn't know, directs the Victoria's Secrets commercials, and he has for the last 20 years. He developed the Victoria's Secret commercial style.
I learned that just now.
When there are two,
Today I
those,
Makes sense.
those 2 shots coming into the strip club are literally the Victoria's Secrets commercials that he invented. The stripper looks at camera as flashes go off, as if people are taking photographs with flash photography somehow. Also, did anyone notice that when they get arrested outside of the strip club, the strip club was just called Love?
Yep.
I've seen some pretty simple strip club names in my time. That doesn't strike me as odd.
It should have just said.
What strip club would you like to go to? Tits.
I'm surprised they didn't
Strip?
just say live news.
I'd like to go
and
to.
have
I'd like to
the-
go to club.
Exactly.
So then they get ready to go to space because we've been watching this movie for a goddamn hour. At 68 minutes, they take off to space. There's 83 minutes left in the movie at this point.
When do they get to the fireworks factory?
Ugh. As they launch, Liv Tyler also stands. This one's even worse. Liv Tyler stands illuminated in front of a massive American flag as soldiers in full military dress stand in the foreground in silhouette as they watch the shuttle launch. So then we go to the Mir space station and we meet Hollywood's favorite Russian, Peter Stormare, who's actually Swedish.
He's Russian space station. I fix things with wrench.
Oh,
This is
This is
Russian.
how we fix things on Russian space station.
This crap is made in Taiwan. It's like,
yeah.
uh-huh.
So at the end of the movie, he kind of saves the day by smacking a console until the engine starts. And I'll be honest, I preferred it to most of the rest of the movie where people were just like screaming at things. That's mostly just Peter Stormare. But so what
Percussive maintenance,
But why
man.
why does Mir explode? The fuel does what now?
One of the astronauts on the missions goes poking around and messes with some levers and the fuel storage and ends up.
He sends Ben Affleck down there and tells him to hit this lever if the pressure gauge goes too high.
I think the pressure gauge goes too high and it does nothing.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
I
lever
remember-
breaks
I remember
off.
He
Yeah.
pulls the lever and it breaks off. He's like, oh yeah, he just pulled the lever. Here's the lever. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what do we do? Get out of here because
Yeah,
the
we
station's filling with liquid fuel. Like, okay, they don't-
Stormare, get out and push.
they'll be going 3 meters a second.
This is 4th time I've done this. This is how Russian space program born. We pushed.
It is
It's a
very Michael Bay.
very distinct style.
You know, the other thing that struck me as really Michael Bay is when when the second shuttle, the Independence, crashes, the scene where the pilots get like sucked out as the meteor shower hits. It is like horrific, like the way it's cut
Yeah.
and the way it's done. It reminded me of the Transformers movies. It reminded me of The Island. It's so interesting because this is the movie he made after The Rock. And The Rock is an R-rated action movie that includes nerve gas. And no death in that movie is shot
As violent.
as violently or as viciously as in this movie.
Which doesn't make any sense. 'Cause
It's his sensibility coming through, because if you think about the Transformers movies, that is a thing. He likes horrific, visceral, cynical violence.
The
Let me tell you what
glass-
doesn't make sense though. The shuttle failed and the astronauts get sucked
Well,
out.
got hit, right? Got hit by a meteor.
We call that failing. I don't.
I mean, fair enough. It certainly wasn't succeeding, so
there-
I really don't have a leg to stand on, do I?
There was failure across the board with that. That whole going back to the why did they approach on the back of the asteroid?
Because they expected most of the debris to be sucked in by the moon's gravity.
idiots. Which is, I guess,
To be fair, all the debris ahead was not being sucked in by the moon's gravity.
Yeah, and once you notice that, don't you change course? Maybe. I mean, you got thrusters.
No, you go right into it.
Yeah,
That's what
just
they
go-
do in
go-
every sci-fi movie.
Go faster. So they crash. This shuttle crashes. The
Yeah.
other one touches down and misses its mark by a few miles.
Several miles.
26 miles.
Yeah.
Enough to be sitting on a plate of solid iron.
I did like that Steve Buscemi, because they'd set up earlier that he was a genius and he was a scholar, and that he was just this weird guy, despite being like a brilliant geologist who had clearly like flunked out of a bunch of stuff. It was during the psychiatrist scene when he's like, "Would anyone like to know why we don't have communication?" And he like lays out what's going on, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense," because like as smart and as dedicated and as fit to the challenge a Air Force pilot and a munitions nuclear expert are, these two NASA guys, there's no way they'd know that about geology. Like this was the part where you got so close to the ragtag team making sense, the Ocean's 11 aspect making sense, where it's like each person has a specialty, but it feels like I got lost like 8 drafts ago, where the idea was Steve Buscemi was a genius geologist. This Air Force pilot can fly anything. You know, Bruce Willis knows how to build the drill bit. Ben Affleck's character's, you know, an artist when it comes to operating the drill. Like, that's what it should have been, but it's not clear. Like, it's not clarified, because Ocean's 11 does the same fucking thing, and it's just as unbelievable. But that movie's fun and well executed, well acted, well directed. You know, like, that movie's executed with an intelligence that lets you buy into the suspension of disbelief of, this will be a fun heist movie that, yeah, it doesn't really work that way in the real world. It's not a realistic grounded movie, but it creates an intelligence that let you buy into that. This movie is so close. Like, maybe the first draft had that, but they've moved on beyond that so much. But that Steve Buscemi even feels like a relic, where he's like, well, we're on a big magnet. Good job, guys. And here's why I know that. And I was like, oh, you're a genius, I guess. That's good to know. I thought you just raped children.
A reasonable deduction.
Yeah.
How about that? You're
Also-
not, you're not just a creep.
So there's this whole weird extra subplot where Willem Fichtner is like, I'm going to pull a gun out of a safe, which, by the way, the gun is just loaded, sitting in the safe, not secured anywhere.
This was pre 9/11.
So that gun's just loaded, rattling around this whole time, and then it's in 0G, just being shucking around the whole time.
Also, guns don't.
The
really,
Air Marshal didn't care as much at this point.
Guns don't really work well in space.
Air
right?
Marshal. Which one was
So
the
I said
secret?
this was pre 9/11.
Who was the secret Air Marshal? Was it Steve Buscemi?
Yes.
It was probably Steve Buscemi.
Undercover the whole time.
He's
No
in
one's
deep
going to
cover.
suspect the kid diddler.
That plan B didn't. I felt like it was
It was
unnecessary.
detonated on the surface. And do what?
Like, if that was going to work, wouldn't we have just done that to begin
Well,
with?
the problem is, the scientist advisor says it's going to work, and Jason Isaacs is the one who's like, that shit's not going to work, dude.
That's the theory right now. That's our only plan if an asteroid is heading this way, is to nuke it until we can change its trajectory.
And that is a great thing about this movie. And, you know, we can criticize it, we can love it, but the fact is, our actual asteroid defense plan involves nuking it.
The most realistic,
real.
The most realistic moment in the movie is when the president goes, "Why didn't we see this coming?" And fucking Billy Bob Thornton steps in and goes, "Well, sir, NASA's current budget allows us to monitor 3% of the sky, and with all due respect, sir, it's a big ass sky." And I was like, you know, Michael Bay's sending a really positive message. Fun NASA. Steve Buscemi at this point gets space dementia, which is the latest fictional version of a thing that doesn't exist, which is called space madness.
Ocean madness.
Which is the abyss.
I don't remember what that
Remember
was.
Michael Biehn gets
Yeah.
like ocean madness, starts cutting himself.
Yep.
Yeah, space madness is not a thing, but I love it because it's in so many movies. And I like the fact that they keep referring to it as space dementia.
They were in space for
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
couple
space-
It
days.
was an
No.
excuse
So
to
there's-
let Steve Buscemi ride on the nuke.
Well,
That was all it
that was how
was.
they were trying to excuse him, like firing the machine gun for some weird reason that was
Which
irrelevant.
is, by the way, why the flippin' hell do they have machine guns on those
In case
rovers?
aliens.
yeah, in case the
aliens.
moon monsters showed up.
It was because, as we've been over, moon's haunted.
Also, every time you go to space in every movie, there's aliens, so you got to be prepared.
I was shocked aliens didn't show up in this fucking movie. It shows a lot of restraint from Michael Bay.
It's actually asteroid aliens.
It's a fucking transformer
So-
on the back of the asteroid, just shoving it towards Earth, full throttle open.
Megatron's just throwing rocks at Earth. I get it now.
Yeah. Harry Stamper. So,
I like to imagine Starscream's the one screaming that. Harry Stamper!
got the message that time. Why are you drilling a hole in my asteroid? This is my home since Megatron kicked me out.
Would this be a better or worse
I'm so
movie
sad.
if everybody just died?
Better.
Well, that's kind of Deep Impact.
Yeah, that basically was Deep Impact.
No, that's how it ends.
Yeah.
And since it's a worse movie, I guess I gotta go worse.
Yeah.
Gotta save the day.
So-
does everybody on this mission in Deep Impact die, or does everybody?
Yeah, I believe
die?
the mission fails and they all die.
Well, no, the mission doesn't fail because I think there's like 2 pieces of asteroid.
Or something.
Yeah, and one of them does hit Earth, but it's not it's not like a planet killer.
It's like a half planet killer.
Yeah, pretty much. And then the
Dude,
other
that
one
movie sucks.
And then the other one, they just kind of fly the
don't-
shuttle into to destroy it, which is fucking stupid.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen
as
it.
bad as Armageddon is, like, dude, Deep Impact sucks. Like let me put it this way: we're talking about Armageddon. We're never talking about Deep Impact. You want to talk about cultural irrelevance?
Talk about it right now.
They drill the hole. Ben Affleck shows up, gives him the last drill bit. Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck have a meaningful scene of trust. They drill the hole, they put the nuke in. No way to remote trigger the nuke. Someone's got to stay behind to detonate it.
Yeah, because they broke the freaking remote detonator. Oh no, we can't remote it.
They're talking about who's going to stay behind. Steve Buscemi volunteers. At first, I was like, yeah, let the crazy guy stay. But then I was like, no, that dude could just as easily not hit that trigger. And just watch him, watch the earth
watching the
burn.
earth
Just ride it in.
Yeah, fuck that guy. And so Ben Affleck takes the short straw. Bruce Willis is like, I'll take him down. And then Bruce Willis trades his places and forces Ben Affleck back in. And actually, I will say, this is the only moment of the movie that really works, is I actually think Ben Affleck, at this point, he's young in his career. I think he knows he's not in the best movie, but he's like giving it his all. And he gives an actually committed, interesting performance that's very authentic in this movie, where he screams, I love you. And I was like, that's strangely real.
Yeah.
Which is a really horrifying, real moment in this otherwise farce of a movie. Bruce Willis struggles to press the button, and in the way it's cut together, it's just fucking Star Wars, right? Like him reaching for the button, and then you cut to NASA, you cut to the other ship flying away, and it feels like the same pace, tone, and some of the CGI and some of the cuts. Like there's people in profile like Tarkin, there's the ships flying away like the Falcon, and it's got the exact cadence and pace of the Death Star blowing up.
Yeah.
So Bruce Willis hits the button and goes, or as he hits the button, he goes, I love you, Grace. And then there's 8 flashes of Liv Tyler in the astral plane on a beach in a black void with a white light.
I thought those were memories.
When
It's
did he
his
remember?
life flashing
When
before
did
his
he
eyes.
remember his daughter in a black plane with a white light?
Don't know.
He was going to heaven.
Yeah, so it's not just memories. Like he glimpses the afterlife, right? Like this movie implies that the afterlife is real. And then the wedding happens. Isn't it weird that the wedding has pictures of the dead people? Like, is the wedding a wake? Is it a wedding?
It's a wake and a wedding.
Is it a wedding wake combo?
Yes.
Well, it's called saving money. They're being cost effective.
Also, Peter Stormare got invited to the wedding, but Billy Bob Thornton did not. It's weird that Peter Stormare
That looks a lot like
he must
Commander
have
Shepard.
so he has to be the one to invite Peter Stormare to the wedding, right? Ben Affleck.
She's not going to do it. She doesn't
Yeah.
know him.
I mean, I guess after you jump a space canyon, you gotta invite
When
some.
you Evil Knievel your way around a fucking meteor.
Like if a month before my wedding, I end up jumping a space canyon with somebody, I guess they gotta come to my wedding.
That is how it works.
We haven't talked about Aerosmith that much. So Aerosmith obviously has 4 songs in this movie. Well, technically 3, and they play one twice with different mixes.
It's very awkward.
Yeah, none of them are very good.
Oh, you didn't love their cover of "Come Together"?
No, not even a little.
Could have done without the Aerosmith.
It felt really out of place. I mean,
Anyway.
final thoughts about Armageddon? Anyone liked it? Didn't like it?
I liked it when I was younger. I hate it now.
I give it 3 asteroids out of 5.
How many Aerosmiths do you give it?
0 Aerosmiths, 2 asteroids.
I give it 6 Todd Rundgrens.
It's not bad. but
6
it's not
Todd
good.
Rundgrens out of 10.
It's
No.
definitely not the worst Michael Bay movie.
No, well, I mean,
well, God,
no, but
no.
that's like
I give it 1 thermonuclear nuke.
that was Armageddon.
Hooray!
See you next,
Ugh,
see you next time.
Armageddon.
Armageddon out of here.
Bye.
I don't
Bye.
want to close my eyes.
I do.
I don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, baby. And I don't want to miss a thing. Something.
All right, let's get this grease report done.
Something.
You've been listening to Cattywampus. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr at CattyWampusPod. Email us at cattywampuspodcast@gmail.com. Music by Tilly.